So you don't know what to do with your life. Well, let's break your life down. There's 7 or 8 major domains. Probably you want an intimate partner. Most people do. Now, you might not, but probably you do, even if you think you don't. And so you might be one of those exceptions, but don't assume that to begin with, because that's an uncomfortable place to be if it's true. Now, maybe you're a radically creative genius like Leonardo da Vinci or Picasso, and you're so idiosyncratic that you can't bind yourself to any one person. But, they were 1 in a billion, and probably you're not. Now, maybe you are, but that's a whole different kettle of fish. Probably you want a family of some sort. Parents, you want to have a relationship with them, siblings, children. Most people have children. That's the best relationship you're ever going to have if you're fortunate enough to engage in it. And so you probably need a vision for that of some sort. Friends, helpful to have some friends. You could develop a vision for that. You need a job or a career, because otherwise you die, and people think you're useless. They shun you, and then you die. That's a bad outcome, unless that's what you're after. You should regulate your behavior in relationship to temptations like drug and alcohol abuse and sex, because short-term impulsive hedonic gratification doesn't play out well across time, and it tends to make you unpopular. So that's not a good recipe for long-term progress into the future. You should think hard about doing something on the civic front. You should take care of yourself mentally and physically. You should have a plan for that. You need an educational plan, because there's probably something you could learn and get better at, and that doesn't have to be academic. It could be extremely practical or creative. And you should figure out how to make productive, generous use of the time you have when you're not working. That's like a conservative vision, right? Because it fleshes out the generic landscape of human striving. And it's a good place to start if you don't know where to start. You could start with one of those things and move towards it, or 2 or 4, and maybe you don't have to do all of them. But my experience as a clinician has been that if you are failing on all 8 of those fronts, you're not depressed, you just have a terrible life. Conservatives can say, traditionalists can say, here's the basic template, here's the responsibility you can find in meaning. Well, now you got to cobble together something idiosyncratic and unique to yourself. That's the making the archetype manifest in the confines of your own life. That's the basic way forward. If students do an exercise like that, a writing exercise, and answer all 8 of those questions, the probability that they'll drop out of university in the first year, about 40% of kids do, roughly speaking, in the first year or 2. The probability that they'll drop out is decreased 50%. Just thinking through, just developing a vision on those fronts is highly motivating, and it keeps anxiety at bay, and it unites people psychologically, and it helps them identify with the pathway forward. It's not optional. So, and that's an antidote to the death of God in some real way too, right? That journey towards an integrated single point of meaning.